Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today we are going to be talking about this video that was uploaded by the channel It's Germaine, and the title of the video is How Fat Acceptance Ruined My 20s. And as you can see, the video is 25 minutes long, and a lot of it is stuff that I just don't think is necessary to react to. So I actually had my business partner Rachel, she cut up just the parts of the video that made sense for me to kind of talk about. So we cut it up into about a 9-minute video, and so I'm just going to kind of let this video play and share my thoughts. Before we get into it, there were some points in this video that I agree with, but there are also some points that I didn't necessarily agree with. So I think that it'll be an interesting kind of, reaction or my thoughts on this type of video. And so without further ado, let's get into it.
I am not a channel where I like to bash fat people. No, I was a fat person. I still am pretty big. I was an obese person. I know what it's like being in that place. So I never ever want to create a place where we're just bashing fat people or obese people. But I do
think that that's a good place to start because I think that like when we talk about this subject, I don't think it's like you have to be someone that was previously overweight, but I do think that being in that position in some capacity helps with the empathy that someone might have, and it informs a lot of the decisions and the way that you talk about it. I know that it's informed how I handle this topic, but that being said, I don't think that just because you used to be a fat person gives you a free pass to say whatever you want, and I don't think that it automatically makes you empathetic, because I have definitely learned, I think, over my time on YouTube to be more empathetic, and there was a period of time when I was a little bit more like over the top and maybe a little bit more like argumentative and just more mean, I guess. And over the years, I feel like I've softened a little bit just through understanding stuff. But I do think that it's a good place to come from when you are making videos like this.
I want to draw attention to the fact that obesity is a bad thing and we shouldn't be promoting it. My little sister, she's now 27 years old, and she lived her early 20s doing everything I dreamed and I wish I could have done, but I didn't do. She got to be a flight attendant. She got to do backpacking and travel the world. She met people from all over the world. She has friends from all over the world, and just all the things that she got to do, I never did.
I love her accent, but I can relate to that. And this is always an interesting topic, because I don't think that just because you're, overweight, I think if you are, morbidly obese, that definitely makes it to where you can't do certain things, especially like flights and stuff like that, especially if, money is an object and you can't just buy 2 seats or buy first class, right? Like genuinely, sometimes you're just too big to fly, right? That was the issue I had. I never flew when I was bigger because I was just too afraid of not fitting in the seat. But I think a lot of it also goes into the mentality that a lot of us have when we are overweight. We almost, at least for me, I can only speak for myself, but I put myself in a box before anyone else could. So I would say no to certain things before I was embarrassed that I couldn't do it, right? So I'd say no to avoid maybe not being able to fit on the ride or do the trip or do the hike or whatever, right? I'd just say no because I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to do it, and I'd rather save myself the embarrassment. And I wonder if that was kind of something that was going on as well with her, where it wasn't necessarily that maybe you wouldn't be able to do these things, but the fear of not being able to do it was stronger than the want to actually do it, if that makes any sense.
Why I never did any of it is nobody's fault but my own. So every time when someone talks about their early 20s, I just can never relate, because I did not have the best 20s. I feel like I wasted my 20s. I regret my 20s. And sometimes I just wish that I had this revelation of everything that I have now, that I had it in my early 20s, and that I changed my life in my early 20s. Because now I'm 30. I feel like when you hit 30...
This is an interesting kind of situation, because for me, I lost weight when I turned 20, right? So my early 20s, I had already lost the weight, and it definitely, I was able to have experiences that maybe I wouldn't have been able to have. And so I can't fully relate to this, but for me, I remember high school years, there were so many things that I didn't do because of the fear or the rejection. I've talked about like trying out for the football team. I got made fun of, so I never played football, even though that was like my favorite sport. And I really wanted to be on the team, but the fact that I got made fun of, it just made it to where, because I got made fun of when I was a freshman, so I never even tried out the rest of my years there because I was just too afraid, right? And so there's a ton of like little things that I feel like I missed out on. But as far as my 20s are concerned, I had already lost the weight. Basically, once I had turned 21, I had lost most of my weight.
every decision that you make is more so for your long term and your future. This is not the era for you to be playing around anymore. This is not the era for you to be living on the edge. This is the era for you to be getting your life together and doing things with a proper plan in mind. Or at least for me, that's the case. I can't tell you the
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, speak for yourself.
amount of times during my 20s where I thought, I don't need to lose weight. There are all these fat people between Ashley Graham and Tess Holliday who are beautiful, who are happy, who have a job, who have men, and the world thinks they're gorgeous, and they seem happy. They're living life. No, that is not true. And that's a lie that I was sold. There is no quality of life looking like this. And that's the truth.
So, sorry, it's just modeling and stuff is just, it makes me laugh. I think that I wouldn't necessarily fully agree with that. I do think that you can have a quality of life, but where I would agree is that most people are not going to be able to live the life that, you know, the fat positive or the health at every size, like the Tess Hollidays live. The Tess Holliday is a very, like, she has been almost crafted and has curated her life, and all of her opportunities are based on her size. But the vast majority of people that are following Tess Holliday, they're not going to have those opportunities. They're not going to have all of these, companies reaching out to give you clothes or to be willing to, make clothes fit you, anything like that, right? So like the quality of life that Tess Holliday has, I feel like is an unreachable like goal that most people that are following Tess Holliday aren't going to have. And I feel like a lot of people, we've heard this talked about a lot, people that have followed Tess Holliday in the past, that's what they wanted, and they realized that it wasn't possible, not because of like outside things going on, right? Like people just don't want you to have this life. It's just that most people, when they get to the size that Tess Holliday is, they have a lot of health issues. There's just like so many things that are going on in your body that make it to where you're not able to do the things that maybe Tess Holliday is able to do at her size. So it's just like a unattainable goal, I think, for most people when they get to that size.
This is not a quality life. Please don't make the same mistakes I did, because I was influenced by these people. So I think it's my responsibility as somebody who was personally affected by the fat acceptance movement, who was influenced, who believed that lie, who wasted my early 20s living a lie.
That's got to be really hard. And like, it's something that, again, not that I can't fully relate to, because like fat acceptance and like this whole movement, one, I'm a dude, and it very much so is skewed towards women and how it's marketed and the people that are in the movement. But on top of that, like I said, it's been over 10 years since I lost the weight. So I never even really saw this whole, like, this didn't exist to the extent that it does now, right? Of course it existed, but it wasn't like something that was talked about very much. Like, no one said that ObesetoBeast, my name, was a problem until like 2017, I think, maybe even 2018. I had never even heard that concept, right, until then. And so it's definitely changed. And so I really feel for a lot of people that have almost basically been sold a lie or a half truth, I think maybe is a better term to use, because so many people, they'll see these people that are, they say they're happy, they say that they're really stoked on the life that they live, and then maybe a few years go by and then they decide that they want to lose weight, right? Something that she talks about is a lot of celebrities that you see that are like, I'm a body positive celebrity, and then all of a sudden they decide that they want to lose weight, or maybe they're not even a body positive celebrity, they just happen to be bigger. And a lot of people, they see that they're bigger and they're like, I relate so much to this person, and they start to lose weight. And then you almost feel conflicted. Like, why would you lose weight? Like, you were my inspiration and now you're not, right? It's tough.
I was not happy, but I kept trying to convince myself that I was. Because if these people are living their life and if these people seem happy, then I should be too, right? I was at the heaviest I'd ever been in my life at 21 years old, weighing 120 kg. There were a lot of things about myself that I thought was normal, but actually was not. Like, for example, I would sweat from doing the tiniest bit of thing.
So, I sweat more now than I did when I was bigger. I feel like this is a common misconception. I think where the issue comes, and I know where the issue was for me, was that now the fact that I sweat, I don't have any negative feelings towards it. I'm just like, yo, I sweat a lot. It is what it is. There's no like, I don't have any sort of like, I'm not embarrassed about it. When I was bigger, I was much more embarrassed about it, and I would try and wipe it away. I would try and make it not obvious. Now it's just like, I just sweat a lot. Like I sweat when I'm sitting. I sweat when I'm doing literally nothing. If I'm going on a walk, I am absolutely going to be sweating, even if it's 60 degrees outside, right? And so I think that this is a kind of a misconception. I mean, I'm sure some people sweat more, but I absolutely, without a doubt, sweat much more than I did when I was heavier.
I would sweat from bending down and tying my shoelaces. I would sweat from just walking a few feet.
Same.
And I thought, this is normal. Everybody sweats, right? I would have sweat patches on my clothes.
I mean, it is normal for some people. Some people just sweat more than others. It's genetic.
From doing like the most basic thing, even sitting. I was sweating just because I was sitting. I was sweating while I was sitting. And
I mean, I sweat so much. Like, I'm sure some of you have noticed. Like, sometimes I have a fan on right now and it's only 60 degrees. I have a fan on because if I don't, I will start sweating when I record these videos. You can watch. Sometimes if you watch the videos closely, if you look at my forehead, by the end of the video, there's like, it's glistening a little bit more because I'm sweating. And if you were to like reach up under my saggy man boobies, you're going to feel some sweat.
I was not nervous. It was just a normal afternoon. This is a bit TMI, but I used to have really bad body odor. And I thought, this is normal. Everybody's like this. I used to have to constantly dry myself, clean myself, just ensure that I am dry as possible because I used to have fat rolls everywhere and the sweat would like kind of make me smell bad. I would be very nervous if people came too close to me because I was so scared that they could smell me. Like, that's not normal. I used to think it was normal. I thought, yeah, everybody's probably having to like constantly clean themselves. No. As soon as I lost weight, as soon as I didn't have fat rolls, I was not sweaty like I used to be. As soon as I changed the way I was eating, I kid you not, when doctors say you are what you eat, they really mean you are what you eat. As soon as I changed the way I was eating, I ate more fruits, I ate more vegetables and things like that. My body, I did not have the kind of smell that I used to have anymore. And my skin, I used to have a lot of hyperpigmentation. And I just thought like, oh, maybe this is just my skin. It's like this for everybody because hyperpigmentation is a thing.
Yeah.
But this was not hyperpigmentation. This was toxins in my body.
I don't know about the toxins in your body thing, but I can say that like since I changed how I eat, my skin looks different. Like I've talked about this a little bit, but I used to have like not like terrible bags under my eyes, but they were noticeable, and it felt like it was something that I was just like, that's how I look. That's changed, and then for me, this is why I said like I never got diagnosed as pre-diabetic, but I'm pretty sure I was. So my knuckles, my elbows, and my knees were all very dry, and they started turning almost kind of like black. And I would even on my elbows, I believe, yeah, it was on my elbows, they would start cracking and bleeding sometimes. And I remember my mom really didn't like that. And then same thing with like in between my toes, they weren't turning like black, but they were getting very, very dry. And that has changed since I lost weight 100%.
As soon as I changed the way I was eating, as soon as I changed the way I was sleeping, I made sure that I had enough sleep. I made sure that I was eating clean. My skin was not spotty and dark like that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that is 100% the truth for a lot of people. Like, you don't realize... Okay, let me reframe that. I didn't realize how unbelievably bad I was eating and taking care of myself. And that goes with drinking water, sleeping, all of that stuff, right? I didn't realize how terribly I was doing that until I started actually caring and really thinking about what I was doing. And like the change that I had was just, it was huge. Like it truly was so huge. Like the amount of energy I had, that might sound cliche, like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. But seriously, like it changed so much by just caring more about myself. Not because I lost weight, but because I started caring about the food that I was eating and the things that the amount that I was moving per day. This is why I talk about this. Like, yeah, if you don't want to focus on weight loss, that's fine. But like most people, if you are significantly overweight, right? You know, you're 200 pounds overweight and you start caring about the amount of food that you're eating, the kinds of food that you're eating, and the amount that you're moving, most people are going to see their weight go down because of that, right? Most of us, I would argue all, are not supposed to be 400 pounds, right? That's not what we are supposed to be if we are moving as much as we probably should be and eating relatively healthily. It's a fact of life, I feel, right?
I was not having bad body odor anymore. I was not having to constantly clean myself or wipe myself because I'm afraid that, oh my gosh, I smell bad. Like all of those problems were gone. Why? Because weight does have something to do with it. How you're eating, how your food really does reflect on the outside. What you eat really does reflect on the outside.
I think also, like I said, it's reflected in how you feel about yourself, right? So if you're really nervous about what people are going to think of you, and if you smell bad, they're going to think, oh, the fat person smells bad. Of course they do, right? That's going to inform you and make you do certain things that maybe you won't once you lose the weight, because you're not worried about having those negative connotations, right?
Which is why whenever all these fat acceptance people say, oh, don't judge me, how do you know what I eat? I eat a bowl of salad every day, or I eat really healthy and I'm just fat, but I eat really healthy. The way you look tells me what you eat. The way you look tells me whether you live a healthy lifestyle or not.
I'd love to know, because if you're really healthy, do you have any joint issues, or so you're completely...
I swim 2.5 kilometres a day. I walk, I exercise all the time. I am in a synchronized swimming team. Just small equation that you want to know what I eat. I eat salad, I eat meat. I don't eat carbs because they don't agree with me. I eat a lot of fruit and vegetables. I'm primarily vegetarian.
If you're obese...
Oh, man. Yeah, I think that that's one that's like... if you're someone that has been there, you know that, what's the meme? X for doubt, right? You just kind of press that because, like, I think, I don't know about that person in particular. I don't know anything about that clip that was shown. But I think a lot of people, a lot of times it's not that the person is lying on purpose and they're trying to deceive. I think a lot of times is they don't realize the habits that they have and how detrimental they are to, their losing weight or just being healthy in general. When things become normal, you don't think of them as abnormal. That's the best way that I can explain it. For me, it was very normal to go to McDonald's and get two McChickens, 2 McDoubles, a large fries, and a large drink. And the only time I felt like it was abnormal was when I would get extra chicken nuggets on the side, which I did sometimes, right? That's when I was like, oh, I'm eating a little too much. But the four hamburgers with fries and a large drink was normal for me, so I didn't think that was abnormal. So if you asked me, I'd be like, yeah, I eat the same stuff as my friends because they were there with me at McDonald's. But in reality, they were eating one thing and I was eating 4, right? And so that's, I think, a lot of times that is a big part of why people might think they're, eating normal or healthy or whatever, just like their friends that are skinny, when in reality, there's other things to it.
It's very obvious for us to know that you're not living a healthy lifestyle, because there is no way you're eating a bunch of broccoli and chicken breast every single day and then you look like that. Like, nah. I need you guys to hear this because I care. And I don't care if people hate me for saying the things that I'm saying, because I know what it's like being an obese person, and I would never wish that on anybody at all. It changes every aspect of your life. Being overweight like that, being obese, I'm not talking about being slightly chubby, okay? I'm talking about being fat, like really obese, is the worst thing that could happen to you. And it's...
Okay, I don't think it's the worst thing that can happen to you. I want to make that clear. It's not the best thing. I think there are many, many worse things that can happen to you. Different diseases and just other things that can happen that you don't have control of. I think where maybe she might be coming from, and maybe I'm wrong, is that there are aspects of, your size that you do have control over. And so it's almost like it's bad because you could make changes to make it not as bad as it might be, right? And so when it comes to your size, like there are certain things that we can do to mitigate maybe just some issues that we might have. When it comes to other diseases, there's just, sometimes it just happens. It just, you get cancer and that sucks. It really does. But when it comes to your size, or even when we talk about smoking, like that's something that you can stop doing and it could have such a massive benefit to your health. It's the same thing with obesity, right? Like there are certain things that you can start doing to change the diet and the way that you're living and the way that you're moving that can have such a massive benefit to your health that it almost feels like it's so sad when you see people struggling that feel like they cannot do anything to change it, when at least for me, I believe that we can. Right.
self-destructive. It is you voluntarily putting yourself in that situation, and it's not okay. You have a large group of people telling you that fat doesn't mean you're not beautiful. You should love your fatness. You should love your rolls and embrace it.
Could have my tummy out, even if it's just on TikTok for clout.
She look good instead of she looks good for a big girl. How about we do that?
Better learn your rules. If you don't, you'll be eaten in your sleep.
So I think one of the biggest issues that, especially with TikTok and social media, has is it makes people believe in just fantasy, right? Like a lot of times these people that are like fat acceptance, they'll make a lot of videos and posts about them like, oh, I'm happy in my skin, you know, I'm wearing this bikini, but it's almost always like they're just in their room. And like if you actually were to see this person out and about, they're covering up because they're not as, this isn't always, okay, I want to make that clear, but like a lot of times they're not as like, you know, positive as they might seem online, right? When they go out and they're around actual people, it's a completely different story. And I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I get it, right? Like I don't walk around shirtless all the time, you know, but I'll make a TikTok with my shirt off. And so, you know, maybe I'm part of the problem too. That's fine. But I think that it's important to talk about that kind of stuff, right? Like, yeah, I'll make this post, but like if you catch me at the beach, I might have a one-piece bathing suit on, right? Or whatever, because maybe I'm not as comfortable outside around people that I am inside this, like my room or the studio that I film in, right?
You should be allowed to be happy and eat whatever you want. Anyone who thinks otherwise is a hater or is fat phobic. You can choose to believe them, or you can choose to take a moment and silence every other voice and truly ask yourself right now, are you happy? Do you really feel beautiful? Do you feel healthy from the inside out? Do you feel like what you're doing to your body every single day, the decisions that you're making is leading you to a longer life, is leading you to a path that's going to make you really happy in the long term? Everything that you're doing to your body is an investment for your future. So take a moment to really ask yourself, putting aside their voices, putting aside my voice, are you really happy? If you're obese, or if you're in the path of getting obese or even bigger, morbidly obese, truly ask yourself, because this fat acceptance people, this is a thing, this is a fad. It's here today, it will disappear after a while. But the one who's going to be stuck with that body is you.
Yeah, I agree with that for the most part. I think that one thing that you see that I've talked about many times is like when we talk about the fat acceptance is it is very common to see a lot of people that are in their early 20s, maybe even younger. That's a big part of the fat acceptance. But as you get older, you know, your health catches up with you. And like at the end of the day, if you don't have your health, what do you have? Right? And so that's why I try and talk about this stuff so much, because if you don't have your health, what do you have? And the most important thing is that we have control over some of this stuff. We have control, and like there are certain things that we can do, right? That you can do watching this video right now. If you are struggling with your weight, that you can do to change that narrative, to literally make yourself healthier. And there are so many other things going on in the world that we can't control and that can happen to us that there's nothing that we could do about it. But like this is something that we can control. So why not do our best to be as healthy as possible, right?
Before I start to change the way I eat, I decided, you know what, I want to exercise. I want to take care of my body. I want to take care of my spirit. I want to take care of my soul. And then weight loss happened. So after losing weight, it didn't just leave me with a smaller body, but it left me with a sense of self-worth, a sense of identity. I know we should never like look back on our life and have regrets and things like that.
I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think having regrets is completely normal, and people are like, I never had any regret. I mean, okay, well, it's good for you, but I think it's pretty normal for us to have regrets.
I just wish that I did not fall for this lie of being fat and beautiful and all about that base. Vegan Trainer and her All About That Base, really, that was like my anthem. I think I was like 23 when that song came out. And then look at her, didn't she lose weight after releasing that song? Like by the next single, she was already smaller. You see all these people, they make it seem as if like, yeah, being fat is great, like we should all do it. But then in the end, you're going to see that you're the one who's left still fat by yourself, because all these other people who were your inspirations, They all left you. They lost weight. They all got on a healthier path. Meghan Trainor just recently talked about why she lost weight. She wanted to be healthier. She needed to be a healthy. She got a child and she was saying that how she needed to lose weight because she wanted to be a healthy mom, to be able to run with her son and things like that. You see, all these people will change their mind at any time. And if you are really looking to these people, they are going to be your heroes, and you're looking to these people to validate you being fat, you're going to be left alone. Because all these people are going to at some point get a scare. I'm not surprised. I'm just waiting for the day Lizzo goes on a weight loss journey. Y'all watch and see. Lizzo's going to go on a weight loss journey. And all of you followers of Lizzo who worships her and think that, oh, she's so amazing and she's doing it for the fat ones, just watch and see. She's just going to leave y'all still being fat while she loses weight with the help of all her expensive personal trainers and her nutritionist.
Yeah, that's the end of the clip that I have. But that last point, I think, is something that you see a lot of, I think, just in general, not just like with weight loss or like fat acceptance people, but just in general, we put so much like of our like hopes and dreams into these other people, right? Into like celebrities or influencers or whatever, when in reality, like at the end of the day, they don't know you or probably care about you. You should be doing what you are doing because you genuinely feel it is the best path for you. At the end of the day, that's what matters. You're the one that's going to be living with yourself for the rest of your life, right? And so this is why I talk about this stuff, because I've seen so many people say, I was into fat acceptance and then I was having health complications or whatever, and then I got kicked out, and I brought up my things, and people were upset at me for saying, hey, I'm not feeling healthy, and then they literally kicked me out, and now I felt like I was alone, and they realized that they were doing it because they wanted to be part of this in-group. It is so powerful. Like, humans want to be part of some sort of group. So I understand why the pull is so strong for people to want to be part of fat acceptance. I get it, right? But at the end of the day, those people don't care about you as much as you should care about yourself. And that's why you should do what is best for you. But that is the video. I would love to know what y'all think down in the comment section down below. Huge thank you to the creator of this video. I will link the whole thing so you can watch the whole thing. It's quite a bit longer down in the description. Make sure you check it out if you like. Go give her a subscribe. She's a smaller creator, so I'm sure that would help her out a lot. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.